It's hump day.
Hump day!
It's hump day.
Hump day!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 69, where I echo a lot. All right, there we go. All right, so we'll go down the line and say hello. How's it going, Hernan?
Hey, Adam. Hey, everyone. It's really, really good to be here.
Marco, what's up, man?
It's still sunny in Costa Rica, man.
It's not warm enough for me to be wearing my Semantic Mastery shirt yet. That's what makes me sad. Bradley, how's it going?
What's up, everybody?
All right, well, we'll keep the announcements short today. Just want to remind everybody, IFTTT 2.0 launching on March 28th. I'm going to pop the link in there if you want to sign up, be notified. For sure you will be hearing about it. We have a couple of questions on it today, so we'll be wrapping that into part of the Hangout. And if you haven't yet, head over to searchspace.com and sign up for your free account. And that is all I have got. What have you guys got today?
Regarding version 2.0, I've been contacted a lot lately on Facebook asking, what's the deal, what we're going to be updating and whatnot. And I just wanted to clarify that we are adding a bunch of usage and tricks that we have been developing over the course of the past year, and also feedback from students, and all the techniques that we have been using on different scenarios, like for podcasting, video marketing, blogging, those kind of things, as well as the usual updates on platforms, etc. And not only that, it's going to be community-based, so we're going to be diving hard into the community, so that I think that's where the magic happens, to be honest, because people are developing new ways of using IFTTT and teaching us how to use IFTTT in a better way. So I think it's going to be really, really good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's beyond just YouTube and blog syndication. It can be used for syndication for a podcast. It can be used for Twitter. It can be used for all different kinds of cool things. So we're doing a bunch of different use videos in there, as well as, like Hernan said, it's just updating the process of creating accounts and things like that, because a lot of stuff has changed in the last year since the first one was released, and also adding some properties, taking some properties away, clarifying some stuff that was kind of fuzzy on the first version, just a lot of different things like that. So it's just kind of new and improved, and then it's going to have that constant update aspect of it that maybe the first version didn't have, and that's part of the reason, and it'll have the community and stuff as well, and that's just so that we can continue to keep it updated in a way that's feasible. You know what I mean? So really looking forward to getting it going. That's March 28th, right? That's our date?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
If you also have a list, and if you want to jump into the JV bandwagon and make a ton of money, recurring commissions and whatnot, we're going to leave a link also so you can sign up as a JV in case you're interested and want to share the good stuff with your audience as well. So
just as good, you get to hear Hernan on a video. So, I mean, if for no other reason, sign up for that. So
super sexy.
The only other announcement that I would have would be just to reiterate that we have an affiliate division of our company now that we're building out. It's called MasterPR, and we're actually doing a small group coaching with some of our mastermind members and that are participating in that. And it's cool because we're building an affiliate business, and so are the members that have joined. It's a voluntary basis. The only requirement to join, well, first, there's two requirements. One, you got to be a mastermind member. Number two, you have to have about 10 hours a week to be able to commit and participate in the group, or else you'll be removed. But what we're doing is we're actually building affiliate business and promoting high-ticket products, which is cool because we're doing this on a team level or a team basis right now, so that we're all sharing in the workload, and then building out we just started this, so our first campaign actually launches next week. Our first promotional campaign for a product that we've been working on, and we're doing all high-ticket products. So first of all, the commissions are higher. Second of all, they have proper launch windows, which gives us at least one of the criteria is a minimum of 4 weeks prep time to prepare for the launch. And we've got about 20 members in the group, and about a dozen of them are really active and action takers, and it's working out well. So once we get the processes refined and we're able to duplicate them in a manner that that works well, repeated over and over again, we're actually going to be creating an affiliate, how to build an affiliate business product out of the process, because we're recording everything we do, and we're having daily meetings called the Affiliate Bullpen, or the Mastery PR Bullpen, and it's really freaking exciting. I've got a lot of energy. The group has a lot of energy. I've got a lot of effort put into this, as well as Zane Miller, who we partnered with to kind of help bring this together. And it's really exciting. And I'm just going to give you guys a quick show of the inside of the Mastery PR. If anybody's interested in building an affiliate business, now would be a good time to join and get in on the ground floor, because once we get rolling, this is it, by the way. This is a separate community that we have in here, and you can see we've got all these different products in here. We've got just a ton of activity in here. It's actually pretty impressive how much activity is in here. A lot of people creating a lot of content, and it's just been really exciting. And so, again, anybody that's interested in it, now would be a good time to get in it. Otherwise, we're going to end up creating a separate product out of this on how to build an affiliate business once we've confirmed and verified that the processes that we develop indeed work and are repeatable and scalable. And that's the key, guys. Anybody can go out and promote a product and do it all on your own, and do all parts of the campaign, build the campaigns, do all the promotion, drive the traffic, do everything on your own. But that's not scalable. There comes a point in time where you're going to be saturated. You can't do anymore. There's only so many hours in a day. So we're working on developing this out and developing processes now to where we can scale this, because we can put members in place, whether they're virtual assistants or partner with other people to share in the workload to put the campaigns together, so that we can really truly scale this into a big affiliate business. And then part of that is also in developing your own products, because as an affiliate, you're going to learn that sometimes it's best to also develop your own products for bonuses, and that helps to become a product creator as well, which is a whole other source of revenue. So I just wanted to share that very briefly. I'm probably going to share that every week for the next several weeks while the excitement level is high. If anybody's interested in joining, just check us out.
Definitely.
Okay. Okay, so I guess now it's question time. So anything else, guys, or are we good?
I think we're good.
All right, so we're going to start with Brainerd. You guys are seeing my screen, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
All right, just wanted to make sure. First question. He says, I am just starting on SEO. I heard it is possible to rent a YouTube video. How can I do that? It's a great question, Brainerd. Basically, you can create a YouTube video, make it generic enough to where, like, for example, if you were going to do it for, like, let's say plumbing repair, right? You could, in your city, whatever your city is, let's just say your city is, I don't know, Atlanta. If you were to create a plumbing repair Atlanta or Atlanta plumbing repair video, and or even have a video created, or buy a PLR type video, which stands for private label rights, something that's already been done but it allows you to use it, whatever, however you get the video done, just label it, optimize it for your keyword that you're going to rank it for. There's a lot of stuff that goes into ranking a video, which, there's plenty of training courses which we have, and you can find other training courses that will show you how to rank videos. But once you're going to label it your main keyword.
Real quick, Bradley.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Is the link right on the page? We got some people saying that that's not playing, and I just looked and I'm not seeing the video.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me uncheck this for a minute and check on it. So nobody's actually seeing what we've got so far. That's okay. Cool. They can catch up on the replay. Just a moment. I'm glad you joined in or jumped in.
Yeah, I usually refresh it right at the beginning, but I waited while we were doing the announcements. So.
Refresh now.
All right.
I'll refresh as well. Should be up.
Let me just make sure it's playing. Good to go.
I think we're good.
All right. Yep.
Okay. All right, let me put it back on the screen. All right, so back to Brandon's question. All right, so you're going to optimize it for your main keyword, the one that you're trying to rank for. and you're going to put a tracking phone number. This is what we recommend, is putting a tracking phone number in the description or even potentially in the video itself, right? So that, and a tracking number is a virtual phone number, something that you can rent, that you can forward to, so that anybody calling that number, the calls will get forwarded to wherever you want. So you can get that from like Vumber.com. You can use Callfire.com. Just look for virtual phone number in Google, and you'll find dozens of providers, and you can just select one that you want. Then what you do is, once you've ranked it, is you start contacting plumbers in this case, or in this example, and say, I've got a video ranked that's generating leads. Would you be interested in purchasing these leads? Or would you be interested in renting this video for a flat fee on a monthly basis? Or however you decide to monetize those leads. Okay? You can do it either way. You can do like a flat rental fee, and essentially you would just forward the phone calls that are coming to that plumber's number. You could even put the plumber's information in the video description at that point, and in that way, if for whatever reason they decided that they didn't want this to continue the service, all you got to do is just change the description to the next contractor that you find. But that way you maintain control over the phone number the entire time. And so you're not, you know what I mean? Like it's better to do it that way so that you maintain control. But you can rent it on a flat fee basis, or you could actually do on a pay-per lead basis or pay-per-call basis. That's another way to do it. There's a little bit more management involved when you do that. You have to have some additional infrastructure in place to be able to monetize those calls and track which calls are valid calls or qualifying calls that could be billed for. Kind of getting, if you're just starting off, your best bet is probably to rent on a flat fee on a monthly basis until you get good at what you're doing and comfortable with it, and then you could move into the pay-per-lead basis, which is probably more lucrative. It really depends on the niche. But pay-per-lead or pay-per-call is oftentimes more lucrative than just a flat rental. Although I like easy, and flat rentals are easy. So, and you guys want to add to that at all? I mean, it's a pretty basic question, but since he's new, I'm sure that hopefully that helped.
No, I think that the main point here is to actually keep control on your property. I think that's the key word here. And one of the best ways of doing it, instead of doing traditional SEO, like where you rank your client's website, this also yields results faster to the client. They do not need to wait 3-6 months to get them ranked. So it's kind of a win-win situation, and you can sell it like that, like instant SEO. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's what's good about it, is when you already have a property ranked, you can back a service provider into the property, as opposed, it's an easier sell because you can show that you already have results, like you're producing results already. And so that's an easier sale than saying, hey, hire me to rank your stuff, and it's going to take, it could take me 3 to 6 months to do it, but just trust me, I'll get it done. Just keep paying me until then. You know what I mean? It seems it's an easier sale when you already have results and you're saying, look, I've got results. Do you want them? It's going to cost you this much. So get into it, Brainerd. There's a lot of money to be made in it. It looks like that's Hernan's cousin or something, right? No, it's with an S, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there are a bunch of Vasquez all around the world. So.
I know there is.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff says, let me see, is my screen locked? Yes, it is locked. Okay. Jeff Stegman says, okay, I've set up a branded service for local business on a root domain, and I've created subdomains for regional cities. My intent is to lease out the maps listings and subdomains. For example, Ann Arbor Premier Septic Systems, Lansing Premier Septic Systems, etc. A couple of questions. Since I'm branding the service and treating each city like a franchise, I'm using the same template graphics and brand name for each website, changing only the content, city-specific NAP, JSON markup, etc. Am I going to get myself into trouble branding across subdomains like that? No, not at all, Jeff. As long as you're changing the NAP and you're changing the content slightly, and to change, as long as, okay, look, I do this with my lead gen sites, where I'll create a brand and then I build out on subdomains the same brand across, and each subdomain is a different city that I'm targeting. And that's how I do it. I love doing it that way because then it makes it really easy to duplicate. However, I don't just change the geographic modifier on the sites, and obviously the NAP, that's going to change because I'm getting a new maps listing for each subdomain site as well. So I have a unique phone number, a unique URL, website address, and a unique physical address. Okay, the only thing that's the same is the company name. Okay, but all the other data points are all unique to each location. But for the content on the site, I don't just change the geographic modifiers and use the same content. I have original content written for each site, and I think that's key. I know some people will tell you, they'll use the same content and all they'll do is change out the geographic modifiers. I don't recommend doing that, because even if you still can get away with that, its days are numbered, and there'll come a point in time where you'll probably get everything smacked, or everything will get slapped because of it being all duplicate content. So I don't recommend doing that. What I do is I just hire different writers for each site, and I'll literally just hire a new writer for each site to write the content, even if it's the same keywords for every site. I just have a new writer or a different writer write it for each site, so that every single site is 100% unique as far as the content. But the theme and the graphics and the brand are all the same. Okay, makes it incredibly easy to scale. That's what I like about it. Am I going to get myself into trouble? No, not at all. I haven't had any issues with that whatsoever. Similarly, can I syndicate blog content from each city subdomain to my main branded IFTTT network? Yes, Jeff. Actually, we've talked about that multiple times in Hump Day Hangouts. I'm not picking on you, Jeff. I'm just saying, yes, we've covered that multiple times. You can absolutely, because it's the same brand, you can syndicate from all of your subdomains to one branded IFTTT network. I recommend you actually do that to begin with anyways, because you may be able to rank your subdomain sites by just using that one IFTTT network, and there'll be a lot of activity on that network that's branded. It will build authority very quickly. If you find that you're not getting the results that you want for any one of those subdomains, you can always build a location-specific branded IFTTT network for that specific subdomain. But I say, always do the bare minimum, guys, to rank your stuff, right? You guys don't overdo it, and that's the very next question is a prime example of overdoing it, and so we're going to get to that one in just a moment. But don't overdo it. Do the bare minimum. And so if you can get away with just one branded IFTTT network to accomplish what you're trying to do, Jeff, then absolutely do that. If you find that your competition levels are a bit higher in particular areas and you need some additional push, then you can always create a separate location-specific IFTTT network for the area that's giving you the trouble, or areas that are giving you the trouble, and then have a secondary network that you're syndicating content to from that specific subdomain. Okay. And yes, your thoughts about it looking natural, having a branded franchise service syndicating content from the franchisees, yes or no? That's absolutely correct. Good assumptions, Jeff. That's exactly what I do. So. Okay, this next question is quite in depth, and Marcus, I had to read through it a couple times just to understand it. To be honest with you, you're way overcomplicating this. I know that you're new to SEO, and we see this regularly where people that get into SEO or even have a little bit of experience in SEO, they want to overcomplicate stuff. And I was making a joke earlier about how sometimes people will email me with these elaborate drawings that they've created in a graphics editor of silo structures that they want to build out for a local site that you can tell took them 2 hours to draw out some this huge silo structure with all and they send it to me and say, what do you think of this? Will this work? And I just reply to them, don't do that. You're overcomplicating it. You spent more time developing a silo structure in a graphic editor then you could have built the whole damn site in that amount of time. And so my point is, I'm not picking on you, Marcus. I'm just saying that in reading this question, which I'm not going to read here out loud because it would take 5 minutes just to read it, is I can tell you right now that you're overcomplicating this. When it comes down to a local site especially, unless you're in a really, really competitive industry, you want to stick with whatever your main keyword is what your main site should be themed for. And if there are subcategories, right? So your broadest keyword would be your main site. Your subcategories would be like your individual, your specific services that the company provides or that the business provides that you're building a site out for. And in this case, it looks like you have, I don't know, laser hair removal, medical spa, skincare, Botox and fillers or whatever. Each one of those, or if those are each separate categories, that's fine. Just create top-level categories. And again, some of this question I don't even understand because, like you're saying, plus 3-pack, blah, blah, blah. If you put geo modifiers in it, that's fine. If you're only targeting one city, you can build the entire site out to be focused around one city. And you don't need to hit Google over the head with it. If the site is built out with one city in mind, then Google's going to understand that the entire site is about that. So when you're talking about using like medical spa plus 3-pack, and then laser hair removal plus 3-pack, I don't know what plus 3-pack means, but if what you are trying to say is plus your location keyword, it's unnecessary to do that in the content and on the site. The only thing you would need to do that for would be in your actual SEO title for the page. So let me open this up, and I know we've talked about this before, guys, but I want to get this across because, again, I see a lot of people new to SEO way overcomplicating stuff that they don't need to do. So SEO title, right? This is going to be the title that you create for the page. Usually it's identified, or it's you create the SEO title with your SEO plugin, right? So like if you're using Yoast, for example, or if you're using Project Supremacy, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's going to be the page title that you assign or designate in the plugin settings for that particular page. The next thing is going to be your URL. Okay. The next one is going to be your page title, and your actual page title is what your page title is the page title at the very top of the WYSIWYG editor or the WordPress page editor that you put in. I always recommend that you make that a conversational type of title. Okay. So like essentially you are describing what the content on that page is going to be about. The SEO title is the only place that you need to put, or that I recommend that you put your exact match keyword, EMK exact match keyword, which would be like service plus city. That's it. For the URL, keep it as short and succinct as possible. So I always say, like in this case, you wouldn't want to put laser hair removal plus city. Let's just use Atlanta, Georgia as an example again, since we mentioned that earlier. So like we would say laser, or let's say service laser hair removal Atlanta, right? Let's just say that that's what you wanted. You wouldn't actually put that in the URL, because then you'd be over optimized. And I know I spelled that wrong, guys. I can never talk and type at the same time. But your URL would be incredibly long and over optimized if that's the case. You don't need to do that. All I would do is put like hair removal, right? So this is what I would end up putting is let's put this in square brackets. This is what you would want, but I'm going to show you what I would actually put. I would just put like hair removal, something like that, because you want to keep it logical, but short. You don't need to put in all the keywords and stuff like that. It doesn't make sense. And this being the top level category, right? So if you need supporting articles because you want to be able to rank for that, and one of the best ways to rank is to use silo structure and to build internal links to reinforce the overall theme of your keyword or your subcategory keyword in this case by producing or publishing supporting articles and in internal linking up to that category page, right? So that's perfectly fine. But then from there, let's just give you an example, guys, so you can see what I'm talking about. If your domain was, let's just say it's domain.com / hair removal. Let's say this is your top level category, so it would be hair removal. Then you could have all your supporting posts here at this level. Supporting posts here, right? And all of these would end up linking up to your hair removal page, right? So that's how you would build that out. And that's why I always try to keep the URL as short. You don't need to put a bunch of keywords in there, guys. That's just unnecessary to do so. Your page title, again, same thing. Make this conversational. You do not need to put your keywords in here. You know why? Because your exact match keyword has already been mentioned as the SEO title. Google sees that. So you don't even need to squeeze keywords into here if you don't want to. Then if you do, I recommend you don't put EMK here. You can use LSIs, or co-occurring keywords. And I always spell occurring wrong too, so if it's wrong, too bad. Last thing is your meta description, right? Your meta description is going to be, this is something else that you can put LSIs or co-occurring keywords. Let's see. I know I spelled that wrong. I always do. So, anyways, LSIs or co-occurring keywords would be in your meta description as too. I do not put. Don't put EMK because it's unnecessary. One of the things that happens is when Google comes to crawl your page, guys, they're going to look at these 4 things very, very quickly. And if it sees your exact match keyword in multiple, in several of these locations, Google's already going to determine that you're optimizing your content. You're an SEO. You're trying to manipulate search. So it's going to value the rest of your content. It's going to lower the quality score for that entire page. So that's why the only place I ever put EMK is right here at the SEO title. Everything else is basically not optimized. I make it logical, but I don't optimize it. Now for the page content itself, all you need to do is make sure that your content itself is optimized for the main keyword for that post, which in this case would be hair removal. Okay? But you don't need to stuff in a bunch of location keywords, especially if the entire site is built around one city. Now I know the next question is going to be, okay, but what if we're covering multiple cities? Well, then if you're covering multiple cities, then you can do location-based silos as well. And that's a bit more complex. We don't have time to get into this. We actually have a couple silo structure videos that you can watch, the same ones that I think somebody up here asked about right here. Greg Pippin actually has a question about our simple and complex silo structure videos. Marcus, if maybe we can drop those on here. Adam, if
yeah, I'll put the link on there on the page and tag him.
Yeah, tag him, please. Thank you. Because I go into much more detail as to how to set up silo structures that are simple or complex. And if you were trying to target multiple locations with the same site, then you could end up using a complex silo structure, which Marcus, as somebody newer into SEO, which I can tell from your question that you are, I do not recommend that you go after anything with complex silo structure right now. Just avoid it. You don't need it. Learn how to develop silo architecture using a simple silo structure first. Once you get more comfortable and competent, then you can work on using complex silo structures. All right? But my bottom line is 2 things here, guys. Number one is this is a very complex question when I can tell you that this is overcomplicated. It doesn't need to be, especially with local sites. I would stick with a simple silo structure, which means that you're going to have top-level categories and supporting posts. That's it. You don't have top-level categories, subcategories, and end posts. That's a complex silo structure. It's called complex silos for a reason. It's complicated. It can be a nightmare just to develop that out. Okay, they're very, very powerful, but you only need that for like really competitive terms or if you're covering a broad area, multiple cities. And so what I recommend doing is to get your feet wet, to learn the process, is to build a site targeting one city only using simple silo structure. Get some results with that first. Then through that process, you will have learned. You'll learn how silo structure and silo architecture, and you'll be able to implement that and go a little bit more advanced on your next build if you want. Okay, but dumb it down a little bit, man. Seriously, Marcus, because otherwise, like if your question is this complex and you haven't even built the site yet, you're in trouble because it's going to take you. You're going to have a hard time grasping all this when it's overcomplicated to begin with. And guys, you don't need to hammer Google over the head with keywords anymore. Trust me, you don't. The content itself, like for example, for the hair removal page, if the site is built around one city, it's going to be already known just from the SEO title, service plus city. They're going to know. You might want to work the city name into the content once, maybe twice, depending on how many words there is, how much content there is on the site, on that page. But you don't need to hit Google over the head with it. Why? Because you've identified what it is through your SEO title, what the content's about, right? And Google's algorithm is so much better. It understands natural language patterns. So one of the things I always recommend doing, guys, is when you build out a content for a page, read it aloud when you're done. When you think you're done, read literally. I don't care if you feel like an idiot or not. Sit there and read the page out loud to yourself. If anything sounds repetitive or forced or unnatural, change it, edit it, because you want it to sound as natural, like natural language patterns. Trust me, that's better for Google's algorithm, it's better for mobile search, it's better for longevity. Can I get an amen on that, guys? Anybody want to agree with me?
Hallelujah!
All right, well, hopefully that was helpful, Marcus. Like I said, man, I'm not picking on you, man. That's just when I get a question like this that's this complex, I can tell you right now you're in trouble, and you're overcomplicating things, and it's going to make it difficult for you. Learning how to do SEO and learning how to build sites, because it's already overcomplicated. And don't do that. Simplify it, guys. Dumb it down. Try to make it as simple as possible, like the whole KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. Do that until you get comfortable with silo structures and such, and you get some results. Then you can start adding some, more complex tactics or techniques into your builds. But don't start off like that, because then you'll really have your learning curve will be too steep. Okay. Hopefully that was helpful, Marcus. George says, "Hey guys, I really enjoyed Advanced RSS Academy. As Yahoo Pipes no longer exist, what would you suggest to do the same job?" Adam, I think you already posted something about that. Is that correct?
I did. George, I tagged you in the post, so check it out. We got a post exactly on that with some alternatives.
Okay. And I know Lisa Allen's thing, I don't know if she launched it yet or not, but it's really cool, called Rank Feeder. And we did a webinar with her. Do we have that made public, or was that just for Mastermind members?
Yeah, that was just Mastermind.
Oh, sorry. never forget I said that.
But that is a product if it's launched, which I haven't seen anything about it, so maybe she hasn't launched yet.
Because she developed something that she's launching. I've got beta access to, and it's really, really cool. It's a really good service. It's a subscription-based service. You got to pay for it, but it's really cool, quite powerful. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with it you couldn't do with Pipes. It's really cool. So maybe we'll talk about that next week if we can pin her down on it.
So my suggestion is join the mastermind.
Yeah.
Membership has its privileges.
That's right. And we had her on a webinar about a month ago now. So do you consider RSS splicing a must when building out large authority sites? No, but it helps, George. It definitely helps. Because it's called co-citations, guys. Go look up what co-citations are. And you can actually siphon authority from other sites without them actually even physically linking to you through co-citations. And it's pretty powerful, and that's what RSS splicing does. So you can basically, it's like you can gain authority through osmosis or guilty by association, so to speak, Kevin says, "Hey guys, would meta tagged or meta geotag in the head section of page work as well as JSON?" No, Kevin, it doesn't. I used to do that years ago, before there was even a json-ld markup, before there was really structured data, or at least before it was accepted by Google. And I used to do this exact same thing that you're pointing out here. There used to be a plugin that did that for a while, but the plugin stopped working, so I just copied the code out of one of them, and then I would just edit it and put it in each site. But this does not work as good because it's not true structured data. It won't validate. So schema is better. So any schema.org markup is going to be better, which you can do with json-ld or in the header, which is a script, or you could do it as like microdata markup on a page, which is essentially like HTML on a page. I recommend doing it in the header if you can, unless you have page-specific markup that you need, in which case you can use microdata. My JSON already has local business schema, so I don't think I should add a second local business schema, hence hoping that a header meta geotags will help. Why would you have two location metadata? I don't know why you'd have two location infos on one page anyways, Kevin. Let's see. Location relevancy for the specific city page. Yeah, okay. If that's the case, then you want to override. So if you're using the same site, the same domain, and you've got multiple locations, then what you want to do is you only want to add the json-ld markup in for each location on each location page. You don't want to do a site-wide local business markup, because it doesn't make sense to do so if you've got other location pages. However, there are plugins like Project Supremacy is one of them that you can use. That you can put, like, if you have like one main corporate office or whatever, one main office, and so the majority of the site is based around that one office, but then you have some other locations and they just have a specific page on the site, you can use the local business markup across the entire site, so it goes in the header across the entire site, but then you can override that on specific location pages and inject the location-specific json-ld markup. You do not want to duplicate and have two locations. That'll kill it. That will confuse Google, and you'll hurt your rankings. You won't improve anything. So you could do that on a page-specific basis using, like, Project Supremacy has that function built right into it, Or you can use, and what was the plugin I told you guys about, this OH add scripts to header? OH add scripts to header, I think is what it's called. Plugin. Yeah, that's it. OH add scripts to individual pages, header, footer plugin. This is a free plugin that you can use to do the same thing. If you're going to do this, I would just recommend that you inject the json-ld markup specific to each location on each location page. And if you have, again, just remove it from the entire site header. You can remove the local business NAP from the site header and then just put it on the individual location pages, and that's still perfectly fine. If you actually go read Google developers help files on local business markup, they don't require it across the entire site, guys. They only say that it should be on the Contact Us page, location page, and an About Us page. That's the only place it needs to be. It doesn't need to be site-wide. Okay? So, if you, like I said, just use this plugin's free. If you have Project Supremacy, it makes a lot of this stuff easier because it's just got a lot of cool features. If you don't have that, pick it up. I don't know if they closed it or not, but if they still have that open, I'd pick that up, Kevin. It's going to make your job easier. Let's see. Don't duplicate. Do not put two locations in markups on the same page. Okay, that'll hurt your rankings. Don't do that. I also have one image on the page geotagged, but I'm thinking of adding the meta geotag to further help location relevancy without adding a second local business to JSON. Again, don't mix it, guys. Just stick with each page should be focused around one location, and that's it. Unless if you have a locations page where you list multiple locations, that's fine, but each one of those should have a URL that links over to its own individual page. You can have multiple, and there's an organization markup for that, by the way. Schema.org, excuse me, organization markup, something like that. Right here. If you go take a look at this, if you have an organization markup, then you can actually have multiple locations right here, location. And that might not be it, but it's organization, there's parent organization, sub-organization, there's also locations. I'd have to go through here. I've got code already coded out for this that I could share. I'd have to dig it up, though, so you'd have to wait till after the webinar. But you can put the location page on your site, and the top of the script is going to be, or the geotag, the structured data. The object type is going to be organization, and then there's going to be the individual locations, which each will have their own NAP listed on the same page, and it's all marked up properly that way. But then what I do is always put a link over to that specific location page, in which case on that specific location page for each location, it's going to have its own NAP and local business markup instead of organization markup. Okay, so that's another way that you could do it. And like I said, if I remember after the webinar, I'll find that and I'll post an example on this page here for you to model if you'd like. Okay, last thing is just put in the specific pages head section via the WordPress plugin you mentioned a week or two ago. Yeah, if you're using that, I think the plugin you're talking about here is the Project Supremacy plugin, and it does, again, you don't want to add, first of all, this is pretty much useless. Second of all, you don't want to add additional markup to a location page if it's already in the header. So you want to override the markup that's in the header with the location page, location data specific to that page. Hopefully that makes sense, Kevin. Sky says, is there a point where adding too much schema on a web page would receive diminishing returns? Not as long as it's properly marked up. Like if you're adding, like we just mentioned with Kevin's question, Sky, if you're trying to mark up two local businesses on the same page, yeah, that's going to create a problem. But marking up video object, putting local business schema markup, article markup, Twitter card markup, no, all of that's valid. There's no diminishing returns on there. In fact, you're going to be way ahead of the game. You just don't want to structured data spam your pages, right? Like squeeze a bunch of shit in there that doesn't make sense, like review stars and stuff like that when it's not necessary. But if you're marking everything up, every object that can be marked up, if you mark them up, that's not going to hurt you. It's going to actually be better for you if you mark it up properly and make sure the code validates. Go check it out in the structured data testing tool. Right? Marco, you're the structured data guy here. You got anything to say about that?
No, I think that you covered everything.
Okay.
I think that you have to be careful with beating Google over the head, especially if you don't have the trust and authority to handle when Google pushes back.
Yeah.
I said, if you push too much, you will get slapped down. That's what you have to weigh. And just as you said before with the other question, just keep it really simple. You don't need all of this stuff. You don't need to mark up everything there is to mark up to let Google know what everything is. I mean, the idea behind markup is just let the bot know what the site is about, right?
Yeah.
Through this data that you're feeding it. You can overfeed the bot, and you don't want the bot puking on your site.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but if you've got valid objects that you can mark up on the page, like for example, you've got a video, so you mark that up with video object, and then you've got your local business NAP, information in the header for that page. That's fine. If you've got the body of the article marked up, that's fine, because those are pretty much standard items now, guys. Twitter cards is pretty much standard social stuff now, right? So like those are all pretty standard stuff. That doing all of those together, in fact, like I would hate to do all that shit manually. Like honestly, I would just have a theme that does that automatically, like by a semantic theme, because then all you do is just add your content like normal, and it's going to be marked up by the theme itself. So
yeah, I think that the problem comes when when you have like 2 or 3 plugins that are trying to do the same thing.
Yes.
And you get like 3 of the same markup on the same page, like NAP markup 3 times on the same page.
Right.
So on those cases, you should be careful, because if that's side-wide, you can get hit by schema spamming, by markup spam.
Structured data spam, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So and there are many plugins that they will tell you that they're doing, for example, let's say that you install Yoast and then you install Project Supremacy, and those 2 plugins will try to mark up the content, and they might overlay at some point, so you will get twice duplicate markups, etc. So you need to be careful about that.
Yeah, that's correct. That's where the structured data spam comes in. If you've got like the same local business markup twice on the, and once in the header and or twice in the header, or once in the header and once in the body, then that's where you're overdoing it.
Right.
Greg says, hi, I really appreciate your videos you made on simple and complex silos. I've watched both videos 3 times now. Well, good for you, Greg. I know they can be a bit overwhelming, so I'm glad to see you're going through them. I had one question regarding the categories in the sidebar. After making the top pages to be the categories, you made one statement regarding the categories in the sidebar still leaking out juice from the silo. Then something like, I'd remove them from the sidebar. What is the best option after creating a simple silo to avoid or minimize the category leak? Just leave option 1. Just leave the 5 categories, which would be pages, in the sidebar and tolerate a small amount of silo leakage. Remove the category listing widgets out of the sidebar, or use the simple silo plugin from Network Empire. Yeah, I mean, if you're using a silo plugin, Network Empire, their simple silo plugin is fine. There's the Ultimate SEO plugin, which will do that as well. That plugin is a great plugin. If you want, you can do silo structure with that. Essentially, they're called silo menus, and you would insert the silo menu in the sidebar instead of a traditional menu, because the silo menus will only show the category in which you're viewing in the sidebar and any of its supporting articles, so that there is no leakage from it. I can tell you right now, Greg, a little bit of leakage from having the categories menu in the right sidebar or a sidebar period isn't going to be that much of an issue. Like, for the most part, I don't care about that, because remember, it depends on, first of all, what your competition levels are, how competitive an industry are you in, but you also have to remember the difference between the SEO value of something and the value for the user, the end user. And if having a silo-specific menu is going to restrict or prohibit the user from being able to find content on the site more easily, then in my opinion, that little bit of SEO boost that you get from not bleeding the silos isn't worth that trade-off. It's not worth the benefit. You know what I mean? Like, it's not worth making it more difficult on the user to navigate your site. So you have to really decide on whether you want the SEO value, the additional SEO power or whatever, the SEO benefit, I should say, from having the silo-specific menus, or if you want to be able to have the user have a better experience to be able to navigate the site, you have to determine that. I can't determine that for you. But there are several plugins that will do that. Personally, I don't care unless I'm like really in a dogfight for SEO, like trying to rank something or outrank a competitor. I personally don't care about the silo menu being or the categories menu being available, or either in the sidebar or just in the header, or, excuse me, the main navigation bar, right? As long as the category menus are in the top navigation bar somewhere, they don't even need to be in the sidebar, really, unless you're just trying to show the hierarchy of your content and categories, in which case, yeah, I just use a silo plugin that will handle that for me. Okay? But honestly, unless you're in a really competitive industry, leaving like just a normal categories menu in the right sidebar is not going to leak that much, because there's not as much leak through like a sidebar menu or a navigation menu as there would be like contextual links from within the content. That's where you got to be real strict about internal linking between, only within its own silo and that kind of thing. The worst thing you can do for a silo is to do a contextual link from one silo to another with a do-follow link, because that really bleeds the theme. The navigation style links aren't as bad. You know what I mean? Like the navigation menu links or the sidebar links, they're not as bad. They don't leak as much. Okay. All right, Earl says, using Project Supremacy where Yoast was used before, Yoast meta tags are now gone. Yeah, meta tags were pretty much worthless anyways. Let's see. json-ld is a substitute, you mean LD, is a substitute for title tags and descriptions? No, not at all. json-ld is a way to mark up structured data for your local business. It's not a substitute for title tags and descriptions. You still have to name the page. And that's what we just went through here. Your SEO title is going to be your title tag. Your description is going to be your meta description. That's what shows up, guys, in the search results. Your blue link in the search results is your SEO title. Your meta description is the little bit of content, 170 characters or whatever that are underneath the blue link. That's your meta description. Okay. Do you need to have a separate json-ld for each page with targeted description? No, Earl. No. If it's going to be site-wide markup, then you just put the description for the business, and it's going to be a site-wide. You insert it in one location, and it's going to be, which is the header of your site, and that's going to appear across every page. Okay. You don't need to put separate page descriptions in each one of those. Don't, again, guys, you're confusing normal markup with structured data markup. The structured data stuff is confusing a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not that.
It really is. It's confusing a lot of people. No, local business markup is going to go in the header or across the entire site if it's just a single city specific site, and that's it. You just insert it in one location one time and you're done. Okay, but you still need to create a separate SEO title for each page and a separate meta description for each page, which is normal. That's been around since before structured data was around, so that hasn't changed. Another issue, I have a client in Wisconsin bordering on Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota metro area, trying to rank in 3-pack. He has a Minnesota phone number. Should I set all citations to the Minnesota phone number with the Wisconsin address? Any other ideas for dealing with a cross-border situation? I'm not sure what you mean with that. Trying to rank in 3-pack. Have a client in Wisconsin bordering on Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota metro area, trying to rank in 3-pack. He has a Minnesota phone number. Okay, should I set all citations to Minnesota phone number with the Wisconsin address? I don't think that really matters that much. The address is really what matters. The phone number doesn't matter near as much. Any ideas for dealing with cross-border situation? No, I mean, I don't. Again, the phone number doesn't really matter for the ranking in the 3-pack guys. It doesn't matter what the phone number is because it could be an 800 number, which has no local identifier anyways, right? It's not an area code, right? It would be like an 800, 888, 877, whatever. Those can rank in 3-packs. What matters is your citation, your address markup, right? Like where is the actual physical address of the business? If you're trying to rank in another 3-pack because there's a border, it depends. What I would suggest is if you don't have a point of sale, like where customers come to the location, then go get an address in the city that you want to rank for. And using the methods we've mentioned many times, go get a physical address and create a second page on the site or a subdomain site, and go rank that site for that city. So now you'd have 2 location listings, one for the city you're currently in and one for the city that you're bordering on that you want to rank in. But you have to have specific, physical address. I'd have a unique phone number for each one of them, which you can get a virtual phone number. We talked about that earlier on the same Hangout. So you can go to vumber.com or Twilio or Callfire or whatever and go get a virtual phone number. Go get a virtual address, like a P.O. box with a street address option, something like that, and then create either a unique location page on the main domain or create a subdomain site and use that as the actual site address, right, the web address for that site with the new listing, and then create a whole new set of citations. But if you've got a point of sale where somebody that the customers come to your location so that your physical address shows in maps, then I don't recommend you do that. Then I would just focus on organic for the other areas. I only do, guys. I don't spam maps unless they're it's
Bradley,
a service-based business. What's up?
he could also just use RYS to rank maps for both areas.
Could do that too. Good question. Good answer. Why didn't I think of that? Yep, you could do that as well. Okay, so hopefully that helps, Earl. If it's a point of sales, though, I wouldn't do that. I would just focus on organic stuff and use RYS and rank Google My Maps instead, which you can do very easily. Kevin says, does the text in your main menu count as keywords when trying to optimize your keyword density for 1-word, 2-word, and 3 words? I have 10 different city pages that have the same keyword, and when I run seocentro, it's counting all the main menu navigation buttons so that my page is over-optimized for 2-word density levels. Is this accurate? I can pretty much assume, Kevin, that you're trying to do something like this. Say service city 1, service city 2. I only do this for 3, guys, because I'm sure you get the point. Service city 3. Let's just put service plus city because I don't want that to confuse anybody. My guess is that this is what you're talking about, and this is in a drop-down menu, or it's either in a drop-down menu or it's in a. They each have their own button on the menu or whatever on the navigation menu, and you've got the keyword listed plus the city listed each time. But that's unnecessary, guys. That's what I'm talking about with over-optimization. You don't need to do that. You could just list the cities if that's the case, right? That's what I would do. I might, and you know what I would probably do is I would probably use a drop-down where I would list the service keyword. Like this, excuse me, I can't type and talk at the same time. But I would list the service keyword, and then underneath that, I would put as a drop-down, I would put the city names like this, so that the main header would be just the keyword, and when somebody hovers over that part on the menu, then the pop-up, the drop-down menu would show up with just the different cities that are serviced for that service. Does that make sense? That way you're not over-optimizing and repeating over and over and over again and hammering Google over the head with a keyword, because Google doesn't like to be hammered over the head anymore. So I would do that. Okay, I would either just omit the service altogether and just list the city names if you've got separate buttons, or I would just actually, to clean up the navigation bar anyways, I would probably use a drop-down where I would just list the service name, the service keyword, and then I would have the drop-down when it appeared show just the city name, so that when you click on a city name, it goes over to that service plus city page. But it doesn't need to be identified as such, because obviously this is quite logical in the way that this is set up here, right? That's what I would do. I would almost have to, yeah, because see, there's the problem, Kevin. You're saying that if you were trying to stay within the guidelines that we talked about with your keyword density levels, by having all these keywords in your navigation bar, you're limiting your ability to use the keyword at all in the content. And you're saying I would almost have to not have the keyword in the content at all to stay within the 1% range. I totally agree, but that's because it's over-optimized in the menu. So de-optimize the menu, guys. It doesn't need to be over-optimized, you know. So hopefully that helps. Greg says, when creating a branded network for subdomain, where root domain and subdomain are in Google, webmaster tools, etc., is there any need for creating a persona or using proxies for a branded network for a subdomain? If building the network for our branded subdomain, do we just use our Google account profile as the user? You can, Greg. If it's all for the same company, it doesn't really matter. Like I've just talked about this earlier with subdomains. I've got like a tree service business, for example, that I've got about 10 subdomains for, and all have their own Google My Business pages, and every single one of them are all connected through one main account because it just makes sense. It's all the same brand, so that's not an issue. As long as they're all from the same brand, it's not an issue. The only reason why I would suggest just creating all the accounts underneath a different profile and then just adding yourself or the business's profile as a manager is only just it's for one reason, and that's just to limit your exposure or your risk in case something were to happen where you got slapped, you wouldn't, or your account, God forbid, got terminated. That you wouldn't lose all of them all at one time. If you have the Google properties and networks owned in air quotes by another profile, and you just make yourself as a page manager, then you can log in and out and manage those pages from one login, and it's much easier to manage. But if you were to, again, God forbid, ever catch a penalty or get your account terminated, it would only affect what your profile owns, not what the other profile owns. Even if you were a page manager, that wouldn't carry over to those pages that you manage. It would only affect those accounts that were owned by you. So the reason why we use separate personas for a lot of that stuff, guys, is just to limit exposure and mitigate risk. So, but you can do that, Greg. There's no problem. Just know that you're leaving yourself exposed a bit, and if something were to happen. If so, then what user do we use for creating a branded network for second and third subdomain? Do we use the same Google account? Thanks. Now, again, you can, or you can just create new Google accounts, and once they're created and set up, you just add your main account as a manager. So it's up to you to make the decision as to what you want to do. You can do it either way. All right. Jeff says, I just joined the group last month. Should I wait for IFTTT 2.0 before I start building my first network? Thanks. Loving everything so far. No, Jeff, go ahead and build it, because at its base, at its core, the networks are still the same. Other than the training's been updated because of a lot of interface changes and stuff on a lot of the platforms. No, just go ahead and get started now. When the new training comes out, you can go through that as well. But don't wait for us. Get started. Just get moving. All right, we got time for about 2 more, guys. Maybe 3 if they go quickly. MJ says, if I were promoting a physical product on a national basis, would you recommend using SEO strategy to What would you recommend as an SEO strategy to improve my rankings?
I have the answer for this.
I know you do.
Yeah. RYS Academy.
RYS Academy.
There's nothing better to go national than RYS Academy.
Yep. I agree with that. Content marketing would help too. Consistent content marketing, MJ. But yeah, RYS Academy would work really well for that. We've got Marco's been doing some pretty ninja stuff with that, so. But yeah, I mean, in content marketing too, guys, I think content marketing is like pretty much part of an SEO strategy now, like it should be, in my opinion. It's just something that you just do. You're blogging or curating about your products or services on a consistent basis, which are syndicating to networks, because that's going to. What's great about that, guys, is you can target all kinds of long tail keywords in your posts, like. You focus a post around long tail keywords, and over time with consistent effort you'll start seeing your traffic go way up, because it's going to have a cumulative effect. You're going to start ranking for all these different kinds of keywords that you may not have ever ranked for, unless you were content marketing, because you didn't have the mentions of those keywords on your site. But just by doing the content marketing, remember, you can build internal links to your product pages, even physical products like your category pages or into specific product pages or whatever. And so you can focus in, like if you have one particular product, for example, that you're having a hard time getting the rank, you just create multiple blog posts about that product, different topics around that particular product, or different ways to work that product into blog posts, and you constantly link back to it, and you'll start to get start to see some movement from that. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do. RYS Academy is another great strategy, like you just said. It's there's some really ninja stuff you can do there with maps and all kinds of stuff.
I mean, if he's looking for results right now to sell his physical product, rather than waiting 3 to 6 months or however long, or in the meantime, while he gets all of his content done on the website and the e-commerce and everything else, and he's setting up his email marketing strategy and everything, you just hammer it with RYS and start selling right now.
All right, this is the last question, because James, I'm going to answer this one, and we got to wrap it up because we got masterclass in just a minute. But I'm going to try to answer this one. He says, I just got my IFTTT network set up by Semantic Mastery, and I noticed that there are 2 Google accounts, one Google Plus and one Google My Business. No, they're the same now. A Google Plus account is a profile, and a Google My Business is any sort of Google Plus page is now under the Google My Business title. Okay? Pages can be one of 2 types. It can be a brand page or a local page. A brand page is a page that is based around a business. It's just like in Facebook terms, having a Facebook profile, which would be you, and then having a page, which would be a business. You can't create a business profile on Facebook. It's against their terms of service. So with Google, it's the same thing. With Google, you have a profile. It's a Google Plus profile. And then you have Google Plus pages, and there's one of 2 types of pages. There's two types of pages. You can have one or both of those types. There's a brand page and a local page or a business page. A local page is going to have a phone number, a physical address, and a map, and no links section. A brand page is not going to have an address or a phone number, and it's going to have a links section. You can have both a local and a business page, or brand page, I should say. All of those pages are still hosted under the title of Google My Business now. That's been a recent change. But you still access all of them under Google My Business. Just to prove this, let me go log in over here real quick. Let's go to Home. Let's go to Pages. When I click Pages, it's going to switch to Google My Business, guys. There's 2 buttons up here. Location Pages, Brand Pages. That's it. They're all Google pages now are under Google My Business. There's 2 types of pages. I can't repeat that enough. Okay? So when we create a Google My Business, we create a Google Plus profile because you have to create a profile before you can create a page. You can't just create a page. You have to create a profile first because a profile has to own the page. All right? So I see that you say you created a Google My Business page and got the address verified. That's fine, James. Do I need to just switch out the one your team created with the one I created since I got the address verified? Yes. Just swap it out. All you got to do is go into actually log in the buffer and disconnect the existing page, the Google Plus page, because that's what buffer is used for. It's the only connection buffer has is to Google Plus. And then make sure you're logged in to the Google Plus profile or the page that you want to connect, and then just say reconnect, and it will auto-verify. And now it's already, you don't have to even go into IFTTT. You just got to go into buffer and change that out. The only other thing you'd want to do is go to each and every one of the profiles that we set up for you. Just log in using the details we sent you, and swap out the URL for the Google Plus page that's in like the sidebar or whatever of all those other sites. Okay? He says, do I need to just switch out the one your team created? Yes. I've looked in both IFTTT accounts provided, and I don't see any recipes for Google My Business. That's right, because Google does not connect. Google Plus and Google My Business do not connect to IFTTT. It's done via buffer. So again, log into the buffer account, and you disconnect the one page, and make sure you're logged in your browser to the one that you want to connect, and then hit the reconnect button, and it will auto reconnect the new page. But then you still have to go swap out the links in all the other locations. Okay? I'm guessing I can just log in IFTTT and change all the feeds for each recipe. Yes, and that's very easy to do. If you're going to swap out your URL for a website, James, because you went from an EMD to a partial branded or whatever, which is a good thing. Let me +1 that. Then yes, absolutely. Why is it not +1ing? I don't know. Let's try it again. There we go. But yeah, all you need to do is log into IFTTT and just go edit each individual recipe and just swap out the RSS feed once you've got the new site up. That's it. Easy. Swap the new RSS feed, click save, and you're done. All right, so hopefully that cleared up some issues with Google Plus, guys. We've got to go. We're already 5 minutes late, so everybody, thanks for being here. We will see you guys next week. Masterclass, we'll see you in just a moment. Thanks,
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.